All right, let's dive right into this explainer. We're unpacking the gripping survival and growth strategy of Rivian in what is honestly a hyper-competitive EV market. If you've been watching the automotive space over the last decade, you know it's an absolutely brutal arena. We're literally watching a high-stakes, modern-day industrial revolution unfold in real time. Startups are fighting for their very existence against legacy giants who have centuries of combined manufacturing experience. But today, we're dissecting the strategy of a challenger that chose a completely different, highly cinematic path to survival. We're going to map out exactly how Rivian is engineering not just a new kind of vehicle, but a comprehensive, multi-stage business strategy designed to outlast the competition and ultimately redefine what an electric vehicle can even be. Now, Rivian established its unique identity right out of the gate with a single phrase, the Patagonia of EVs. I mean, really think about what that implies for a second. When you hear Patagonia, you probably think of premium quality, rugged durability, and this deep, almost spiritual connection to the outdoors. By aggressively cultivating this exact same vibe, Rivian immediately signaled to the market exactly who they are. They aren't trying to sell you a futuristic spaceship for your boring highway commute. No, they're selling a premium tool for your next grand adventure. But before we get into their specific arsenal, we really have to look at the battlefield they entered. And wow, it is heavily saturated with these sterile, tech-only competitors. For years, the whole EV narrative has been totally dominated by 0 to 60 times, autonomous driving software, and, frankly, massive touchscreens. It basically became this arms race of who could build the sleekest, most aerodynamic computer on wheels. And while that tech-obsessed approach definitely captured the early adopters out in Silicon Valley, it completely ignored a massive chunk of the automotive market, people who actually want to get their tires dirty. Rivian looked at this crowded, kind of monotonous landscape and saw a massive blind spot. So that brings us to Act 1, the electric adventure niche. Their absolute first major strategic move was to completely separate from the pack. While rivals were busy building computers on wheels for the urban commuter, Rivian engineered the R1T pickup truck and the R1 SUV specifically for off-road enthusiasts. Actually, scratch that. They didn't just slap a roof rack on a standard EV. They engineered these things from the ground up to conquer rugged terrain, ford rivers, and handle the actual heavy lifting of a true outdoor lifestyle. This wasn't just a product launch, folks. It was a major stake in the ground. By capturing this specific, highly passionate niche, Rivian avoided fighting the established EV kings on their own turf. Instead, they created a brand new category where they were instantly the undisputed leader. Which leads us perfectly into Act 2, the Amazon B2B moat. Because here's the thing. A really cool, outdoorsy brand doesn't pay the multi-billion-dollar bills all on its own. Locking in Amazon for a massive fleet of commercial electric delivery vehicles, or EDVs, provided this absolutely crucial revenue cushion, while Rivian navigated the incredibly perilous startup phase. Look, building a car company from scratch requires an astronomical amount of capital burn. You're talking about building entire factories, setting up massive supply chains, and funding heavy R&D way before a single consumer even buys your truck. By securing an order for 100,000 delivery vans from literally one of the biggest companies on the planet, Rivian secured a total financial lifeline. This B2B contract acted as a formidable moat, shielding them from the immediate market turbulence that has bankrupted so many other promising EV startups. But hey, this Amazon partnership isn't just about the cash. It's actually a living, breathing ecosystem built on data. Let's break it down. Step 1 is fleet deployment. There are thousands of these vans out on the streets every single day. That leads to Step 2, road data collection. These vans are essentially rolling sensors, vacuuming up millions of miles of real-world driving data across every weather condition and urban environment imaginable. And then Step 3, rapid software refinement. This constant commercial use generates invaluable data that feeds straight back into refining their underlying technology. So practically speaking, the software running your personal R1T up in the mountains is actually getting smarter and safer because a delivery van is navigating the busy streets of Chicago. It's a brilliantly self-improving loop. Now, with their shield in place, they needed a sword. That brings us to Act 3, the vertical integration edge. Vertical integration. It simply means a company fully owns and controls its supply chain and critical tech right in-house. Controlling your own destiny like this is incredibly rare. In an auto industry that's spent, the last 50 years outsourcing to suppliers, they usually buy brakes from one guy, screens from another, and software from somebody else entirely. Sure, it's cheaper and faster in the short term, but Rivian knew that to truly innovate, and honestly just to survive, they couldn't be just an assembler of other people's parts. It's a grueling path to take, but it's exactly the one this challenger chose. So, by controlling their own software and engineering their own custom motors instead of just pulling off-the-shelf parts, they keep a really tight grip on their competitive edge. Think about it. When you build the software entirely in-house, you control the whole user experience. You can push over-the-air updates that literally change how the car drives, and you don't have to negotiate with 3 different third-party vendors to make it happen. Plus, by engineering custom motors, they guarantee their vehicles have the precise torque and power needed for that extreme off-road promise we talked about earlier. Yes, this vertical integration is super expensive upfront, but it creates a proprietary technology moat that competitors simply cannot copy easily.
And that brings us to the most critical phase, Act 4, the mass market scaling pivot.
Surviving the startup phase with cool niche products and a giant corporate partner is an incredible achievement, no doubt. But Rivian now faces the ultimate test. They have to execute a dangerous but absolutely necessary pivot from their low-volume luxury roots to the everyday consumer market. I mean, the R1 vehicles are amazing, but they're expensive, premium machines. You just can't become a global automotive titan selling only $80,000 adventure trucks. To get the economies of scale required to actually be profitable, you have to build vehicles for the masses. This is exactly where so many companies fail, trying to cross that treacherous chasm from a beloved premium brand to an efficient, high-volume manufacturer. This transition requires a massive shift in focus, removing from their current era, which relied on premium prices targeting a niche, affluent audience just to establish the brand's halo, into a future era. And this future completely relies on the highly anticipated R2 and R3 models. These new vehicles are designed to capture massive market share. They hit a true mass market price point and are engineered specifically for high volume scalability. Essentially, Rivian is taking everything they learned, the awesome brand cachet, that Amazon data loop, the vertically integrated software and motors, and packing it all into a much more accessible, affordable package. Which leaves us with this final, really high stakes question to consider today. As this underdog deploys its carefully crafted arsenal in a brutal market, will their strategy be enough to turn them into an enduring titan? Will this massive pivot to the R2 and R3 successfully carry them across the chasm to true profitability? I mean, they have the brand, they've got the technological moat, and they certainly have the B2B cushion. But execution at scale, that is the final boss of the auto industry. It's a gripping, incredibly cinematic story of strategy and survival, and you can be absolutely sure we'll be keeping a close